Hello everyone. Well, I've just finished up with our free flight. On the approach to Sion Airport, we had an engine warning chipset. So I guess I've somehow managed to destroy the engine on the approach to the runway for our landing. So if anyone knows why that happened, drop me a note in the comments. I'd like to learn why that happened and what I did wrong. So enjoy the video. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's John and I'm inside Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. Today I thought I'd do a free flight. I thought it'd be interesting just to fly a different plane. So I've chosen the Black Square Bonanza. So this is the turbocharged variant. And we're sat at Samedan Airport in Switzerland. So it's kind of East Switzerland. You can kind of tell we're in Switzerland by all the mountains. So we're going from Samedan, quite a short flight just to Sion. So Samedan Airport is actually one of the highest airports in Europe. Right, so let's jump into the Bonanza. So do bear with me. I am not an expert at this by any means. So if you are triggered by bad procedures, then I do apologize. Right, let's turn some things on then. Okay, we'll worry about that in a moment. So let's get that down. Right, so let's turn the starter on then. We'll do that, and we're going to do that. Let's give this a few moments to kind of get itself established. We need to introduce some fuel. Let's do that. Great, so we've got a good start by the looks of it. What's interesting, you can actually tap on the glass. You can tap the glass on the instruments. Okay, so looks like we've got a good start there. So let's turn on our avionics. We'll put the pitot heat. So that's great. Right. So let's have a look at our flight plan. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure the generator's on. Okay, so let's look at the flight plan then. So let's go menu, import from SimBrief. I did I've done my flight planning through SimBrief for this one. So that's in there nicely. Let's have a look at the procedure. What was our approach? So we're going to be landing at runway 20. We're going to do the RNAV 25. Yeah, this one. Let's load the approach. I think we've got everything kind of dialed in nicely. Okay, so let's set our altitude. We're hoping for 18,000 feet. We'll put our flaps. So I set the time of day to, or I set the season actually. I've set it to summertime. I thought it'd be quite nice to fly around in the summertime rather than winter. I've done a lot of winter flying in the career mode. This plane sounds great, doesn't it? Right, let's set the baro. I think we're ready to go. So let's get back to the map. All right, so let's release our parking brake. And let's get ourselves around here. Never flown from this airport before. So it's going to be an interesting one. Well, this thing's like a rocket. Absolute rocket, this thing. Okay, so there's nothing around. Let's work our way down to the end of the runway. We're just making our way down on the taxiway here to the very end, or the start of the runway, should I say. There's going to be an interesting kind of climb. We've got to get above the mountains. This thing really sounds... it does sound the part, this plane, doesn't it? Right, come on then. Let's get down to the end. Been playing the career mode so much that on our taxiways I'm too afraid to go too fast in case I get penalised. But obviously in free flight you don't have that problem. So if you've not seen my career mode videos before, have a look at my channel. Plenty of career flights on there. I'm still kind of working my way through it. All right then, so let's get to the start of the runway. Okay, so round we go. I think I'll just do a kind of a rolling start. I think I've got everything I need to do. Okay, let's give it full power. Try and keep this in a straight line. Up she comes. Alright, so our initial challenge is to get up above these mountains, of course. Just going to trim this down a little bit. It wants to shoot up into the air. Let's do our turn. Wow, look at this. This is going to be a challenge. Around we go. Glad we don't have any passengers. I'm sure they will be screaming at me. It's pretty amazing scenery, isn't it? Look at that. Right, let's trim down a bit. Again, this plane wants to shoot up in the air. Can we get over the top of this? You're not lacking in power with this aircraft. That's good. So the time of, as I say, the season is summer. I've got the cloud set to a few clouds. I always think few clouds works quite well in the kind of free flights. Oh, you need to trim down a bit. Okay. Just going to pull back on the power. Certainly flog the engine a little bit. So here we go, weaving our way through the mountains. It's a great place to go flying. If you like your scenery, I'm sure you're going to love flying around Switzerland. So here we are. Look at that. It's a great looking plane, this, isn't it? Right, let's keep this going. It's very easy to over torque this engine, as I've already done a few times. Right. I think I'm going to dial in 19, maybe 20,000. Let's do vertical speed. Letting the autopilot do some work. Just turn nav mode on, so hopefully it will pick up our route. Alright, let's jump off the rudder pedals. Certainly an amazing place, isn't it, Switzerland? I live in England, but I've never had the chance to visit Switzerland. Obviously, if you like your winter sports, this is the place to be in the winter time. But it's a nice place to go flying, as you can see here. Let's, what was I going to do? I was going to turn the heading mode on. Just let the heading mode do some work. We've got a nav pressed and we're using heading mode just to get back onto our track. Once we get onto the track, the nav mode should take over. That's the plan. So, as you can see from our GPS, everything's orange. So I've set myself quite a challenge here. make sure everything's looking good. Yeah. Okay. So we picked up our magenta line on our Garmin. So I'm just using a Garmin 750 here. I actually quite like this. The Garmin 750 is probably one of the best in my opinion. Particularly in the sim, it's easy to kind of navigate your way around. Right, hold on. What we're going to do, let's just hold the altitude. Let's hold the altitude there. Didn't set our altitude correctly, but I think we're high enough anyway. Not a big issue. So I'm still trying to kind of work my way with flying in the sim. I'm certainly no pilot, as you probably guessed, but I'm slowly getting more comfortable with everything. Navigation sometimes can be a problem, trying to work out how to get your plane down to various types of runways. Obviously you got RNAVs, ILS, visual runways. So kind of trying to navigate each runway can be, for me anyway, a bit tricky. But each plane has its own quirks, doesn't it? No two planes really fly the same. Different systems, different little quirks that you have to be aware of. I've flown quite a few planes now in the career mode, but I thought it'd be quite nice to do some free flight sometimes, just to enjoy the sim without any kind of repercussions. Obviously, if you crash in free flight, doesn't really matter, does it? But if you crash in your career mode, there are big kind of repercussions in that. But quite nice just to do some free flying in a different plane. Obviously what Black Square have done here with the Bonanza is pretty amazing. They've got all your kind of engine analytics if you're into all of that. So it's got a great kind of tablet. So everything's here for you. I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't delved too deeply into the inner workings of a plane. I'm still trying to get 100% comfortable with all the features, the nav modes, the heading modes, all this kind of thing. So I haven't delved too deeply into the workings of an engine. But for now, I'm kind of happy just to get my plane from point A to point B without having an absolute disaster. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I think, let's do that. I am going to do that. Let's activate. Just going to deviate from the flight plan a little bit. We're just going to do a direct to. I've actually got my map on another screen. So I've got 3 screens for simming. Obviously I've got OBS, which I'm using now to record. I've got my main screen here, and then I've got another third screen which I use for any kind of maps and flight plans. So it's nice to have 3 screens. Right, let's have a look outside. Yeah, it's looking good, isn't it? You can imagine how wild this would be in the winter time. I don't have any lights on, so hopefully nobody's triggered by that. Let's stick a few lights on. But yeah, so this is Switzerland in the summer. You can still see there's snow on the mountains. As I said, the Samedan airport, which we just took off from, that is actually, I believe, is the highest mountain in, sorry, not mountain, the highest runway in Europe. So that's quite an interesting one to take off from. We're going to Samedan to Sion. Both of them are in Switzerland. So I thought I'd just do a kind of a Swiss flight. It's nice just to kind of sit back, relax, not worry about repercussions of the career mode. I do like to do some free flying, so I think I'll do a bit more of that on my channel. I'll do some free flights, maybe do some plane reviews. As I keep saying, I'm not a pilot, but I can at least share my opinion of various planes that come out in the future. So this Bonanza, for example, I love this plane. It's very well kind of modelled. It'll be very interesting to see what comes out this year for the sim. See what new planes are kind of brewing. So these are just bolt standard airports in the sim. I haven't paid for any paid airports for Samedan and Sion. I think you can get too carried away, can't you? Where do you stop? Once you start paying for kind of third-party airports, you kind of spoil yourself, and every flight that you don't have a third-party airport, you wish you had. But it can become very expensive. If you like to fly different airports every time you fly, you certainly don't want to be buying third-party sceneries for all of them. And some of the problem is, some of the third-party sceneries can introduce problems for you. Particularly very detailed airports, you can have trouble with lag and stutters. Sometimes just leaving the sim natively, as it's meant to be, sometimes it can be the better option. I know some developers, they go into so much detail with their airports. That's great. Don't get me wrong, that's great. But it does cause problems with performance sometimes. I fly on PC, so I've got quite a good PC. But if you've got like a medium tier or a lower end tier of PC and you're buying third-party airports, you're gonna notice a performance drop. Right, how are we doing? Let's have a look. Yep. We're on course. Everything's looking nice. Actually, we can even... I'm going to change my mind again. So let's... I think I'm going to do that. Let's have a look outside. This is certainly the place to go flying, isn't it? So everything's in the green. We're not thrashing anything, I don't think. Oh, we do have an exceedance warning on the ITT. So maybe it wasn't the cleanest of start that I did. There is an exceedance warning on ITT there. But let's not tell anyone. There's so much to it, isn't there? For new pilots or new simmers, trying to understand everything. Obviously, there are flight simmers that have been doing it for many years. But for new pilots, it's quite a challenge. What's quite interesting is there's not a lot of guidance in the sim. Yeah, there are some kind of tutorials that you can kind of work your way through. But I've kind of found YouTube a great place to get good quality kind of tutorials. So quite often I'll follow a tutorial on YouTube to kind of help me learn how to fly a plane. But for you know, for new simmers, it can be quite intimidating. I know a lot of people get really angry about other people not doing things correctly. But it's not all about that. I don't believe that getting pleasure from the sim should be all about following procedures, following checklists. If you want to do that, that's great. I'm certainly not knocking anybody at all. But for me, my kind of enjoyment comes from, at the moment anyway, just trying to understand the systems. I don't know everything. I certainly don't know everything. But I don't think I'm at the stage yet where following procedures and making sure you've got lights on and making sure you're doing this and that, I'm not there yet. But now I'm just trying to get myself from point A to point B in the best way I can. If you crash, you crash. What can you do about it? But that's where the enjoyment comes from. How am I going to get from point A to point B? What's the best way to get there? How am I going to start this aircraft up? Am I able to use the systems that a particular aircraft has got? And can I get the plane down safely on a runway? So that's where my kind of focus and enjoyment comes from. As I said, I'm not at a point where I'm worrying about, oh, have I done this on the checklist? Have I done that? Should I do an engine run-up? I mean, engine run-ups, yeah, I understand people love to do that. It's real life. But for me, no, not yet. I kind of just take the more casual approach of just enjoying getting myself from A to B safely. But as I progress on and maybe get better and better, I'm sure I'll start being a bit more kind of professional, is that the word? By using various checklists and things. Right, how are we doing? Let's have a look outside. So I've got an airport down below there. What a place to go flying, isn't it? A great looking aircraft. So I'd be very interested to hear your experiences. Leave any comments down in the comments section. If you've seen anything I've done seriously wrong, then do let me know. I'm always happy to learn. So what do you mainly do? Do you find yourself doing the career mode, or are you more of a casual kind of free flight pilot? I've been enjoying the career mode, I have to say. The career mode gives you kind of a sense of aggression. There are repercussions in career mode. Perhaps you don't get that in free flight. Well, as I said, my channel's about trying to come from a point of not knowing anything at all about flying or how to fly a plane, and just to see my journey as we move forward. So I'm going to do a mixture of career mode, free flights, some reviews. The reviews are will only be my personal opinion, of course. Right, so how are we doing? Just checking my map. All right, we're looking good. Just making sure. Just making sure that yeah, okay, so I'm just making sure that I've programmed my flight plan in properly. But yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my course again. Let's activate that. I'm actually going to fly it by hand now. So I'm going to watch our speed, forget the gear horn for a minute. In fact, let's just put the gear down, stop that warning. Going to trim up a little bit. Let's speed up. We're certainly not there yet. Okay. Is that the runway I can see there? Have a look. Let's get a bit closer. Certainly don't want to mistake a road for a runway. Could be fairly close now. What a scenery, eh? The road on the mountain there. Right, let's not get too low. Just gonna make sure we're not getting too low. I've got a chip warning. Oh dear. Let's not worry about that. We've got to get this plane on the ground. Right. Can we see anything? Should be coming up very, very shortly. A very stable plane to fly. Just not seeing the runway for the minute. Should be just coming up. Aha. I believe we found our runway. Right, let's get this plane on the ground. Oh, what a challenge. All right. Put our flaps in. Let's try and get this nicely on the ground. And we're down. We're down, everybody. Welcome to Sion. Okay, so I've just sorted that engine out. Let's get to our parking area. You know what? I'm just going to put it in here. Let's stop it there. Whoops. Let's not go too heavy on the brakes. Let's stop it there. Let's turn it off. Okay, everyone, welcome to Sion, as I said. It's so interesting. I don't know what happened to the engine. Somehow we've managed to destroy the engine on our flight in. So I'm not sure what I did wrong. So if anyone knows what the problem was with the engine, do let me know. It looks like we had metal in the engine, so it certainly wasn't happy. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, everyone, please give me a like and consider subscribing. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.